Well, it's the occasion that only comes around once every 5 years. Thank God tonight is Census Night. And demographer Bernard Salt is here to tell us what we need to know about Australia's big count. Welcome, Bernard. So it's a simple question, but one that I don't think everyone knows. Why do we have a census and how is the information used?
Well, we need a census every 5 years in order to establish where people are, what their circumstances are, in order to efficiently allocate effectively the budgets. About $350 billion a year we collect in tax. Without the census, it might be misspent. Now, you might argue that it's misspent anyway, but you've got a better chance of it getting to the right people with the right needs. And I also regard it, it's a bit like the demographer's Christmas. This is Christmas night for us.
You're excited.
I'm really excited. The problem is
having an orgasm.
That we...
A demographer
coming on this show. The problem is I have to wait 12 months to get the results.
Oh, Bernard. Gee, that's a lot of foreplay. Hey, can we talk about the cost?
Change the subject.
Yeah, the cost is just the advertising campaign this year cost allegedly $11 million. Why the need to try and make the census, you know, the Twitter accounts, why do you need to make it cool?
Well, you need to communicate with 22 million people, and of course you have the traditional channels and social media and internet and so forth, so it's a legitimate exercise. I think
it's only 50 cents a person.
Well, that's right, and the census costs something like $450 million to actually complete, so $11 million to actually advertise. You don't want $450 million being spent and it not getting to everyone, so it's actually a good use of money, I think.
Bernard, I have to tell you, I don't like all these snoopy questions. I remember 5 years ago going, none of your business, just look here. How dare you ask me? I don't tell my mother this stuff.
The best question, I think, is the religion question, because it allows people like me to work out what is the most devout town on the Australian continent. And at the last census, the town of Coonamble in New South Wales, 95% of the population believed in a god of some sort.
Right.
Whereas if you go to Byron Bay, the hippie hotspot, it's barely 50%. So there's a road to Damascus in Australia between Byron Bay and Coonamble. You can find redemption. You can find redemption along the way, and pleasant picnic spots as well.
But how accurate do you think the information is that is collected? I mean, do people tell the truth?
Well, yes. I mean, the ABS goes through a great deal of trouble to actually do post-census surveys. So some people get surveyed to see exactly how accurate it was, and generally it's pretty good. We have about 60 questions on our census. In America, they have it once every 10 years, and they only ask 10 questions. I'm sorry, but I can't get to know a community in 10 questions. No. I need 60.
You do.
I need 60 and
your
more.
quirky little terms like kippers, which we love.
Exactly.
Now, what about if you're an expat? How are they accounted for?
Well, expats, you can actually fill out a census online overseas.
Would they do that when they're sitting back in Barbados? Why would they worry about the census?
Well, there's not that many actually expats that would actually miss out on the census. So that's not a real issue. The real issue is the homeless, the Indigenous communities, and getting everyone, you know, the 98% of the people to actually fill it out accurately and diligently, so that I can use the results.
Yeah. Well, Bernard, how do you get information out to homeless people?
Well, this comes down to the census collector. The person that comes to your door, chases you down, if you like. It's their job to actually find, you know, whether it might be someone living in a car or sleeping rough or whatever. There's quite a process in order to get to every single person in Australia, and that's critical in terms of allocating funding. How many homeless people are there in Australia? That impacts funding. That's why it's important.
Another thing that I think we need to talk about is people for whom English isn't their first language. So, for example, my mum, I find with a lot of these forms, it's incomprehensible, and I speak great English.
Yes.
Are there people that can help people like that?
Well, there is census telephone lines and so forth. So there is help for people that do struggle with that. Yes.
Is there a particular suburb that are really, really crap at handing their forms back?
I haven't actually looked at that, but that would be something I wouldn't mind. I suppose it would be suburbs that are quite transient in population.
Like
so
Bondi, for example.
Bondi, perhaps, in Sydney, or St Kilda in Melbourne, where people are coming and going throughout. They're not necessarily committed to a particular residence.
Are you the only person that gets the information
Am I the only person? Well, I'd love to be the only
Because
person to get that.
There's personal questions in there and about how much you earn and everything.
Oh, yes. No, that's critical. We need to know how much you earn, how many people are in the uppermost income bracket. Again, that goes to setting policy of taxation and so forth.
All right.
So it's critical that we know exactly that. But it's all confidential, of course. So,
Stop snooping through our garbage, all right, Bernard?
No, we're not going to.
Thank you so much for joining us
Pleasure.
today. Thanks, Bernard. And remember, folks, tonight is the night. So whether you fill in your census form manually or you answer the questions online, don't forget to take part. We'll be back with more of The Circle after this.